The world of idioms is a wild place. A place where ears are detachable, house pets can fall out of the sky, and molehills are friggin' huge. And despite the fact that some people like to make mountains out of molehills, I like to make mine mountains out of foam. With little more than a can of foam gap filler, regular gap filler, and a little bit of spookiness, these mountains can add adventure to a table, inspire terror in a mini, and help us not sweat the small stuff like hospital visits and scheduling conflicts. Let's get into it. First things first, find a can of expanding spray foam. This can be found in the hardware section of most stores, or that store that sells things that look tasty but are probably not food safe. Spray the foam outside on a piece of cardboard or wax paper. I'm doing this in 2 sections, but that's because odd numbers are evil. Empty the can and leave to dry per the can's instructions. Once puffed up and cured, take them off the cardboard and try not to think about the fact that they look like a fat, legless facehugger. Bring those chubby little boys inside and find a box cutter and cut off all the round bits like you're carving an ungrateful turkey and save the thankful one for November. Just make sure to cut away from yourself because the box cutters are very sharp and skin is weak to slicing damage. Once done, cut multiple V shapes all over the mountain. Now that the jump scares are ready, make sure to cut a chunk out of the rock roughly the size of the skull that's heckling you at the store. Grab that saw you bought to help you cope with the fact that your new friend has no body to go to the dance with, and remember that saw jokes are quite hacky. Separate the jaw from the rest of the skull, making sure not to cut yourself, and cut off the back of the skull as well. Press both pieces into the foam before gluing them in with a hot glue gun. Next, grab a bucket of spackle and toss on a rubber glove, unless you want your hand to look like the Crypt Keeper. Lament the fact that this frosting tastes terrible before giving the whole piece a very thin coat all over. Just fill the holes in the foam while leaving a little bit of texture. Take a moment to think of a name for a place that sells enticing food that can kill you, and settle on Mr. Yuck's House of Fluff to farm both nostalgia and comments because the engagement is good for the channel, and everyone needs to remember an unsuccessful poison control campaign from the 70s. Grab the other hunk of foam and cut out a few smaller rock formations following the same process. Cut out the channels and fill everything with the strawberry drywall. Once the wall is now properly dry, take everything outside and coat with matte black spray paint. For some odd reason, this particular type of foam doesn't melt when sprayed with spray paint, but make sure to test on one of your offcuts so you don't end up looking like that raccoon that tried to wash his cotton candy. Let the whole thing dry once again and give the piece an overbrush in Apple Barrel's Pewter Gray, making sure to get into all the cracks and crevices. Dry brush in white to make everything look dusty and sun-bleached before moving on to the outro. If we've learned anything from Dr. Willy, Princess V, Brainiac, Captain Hook, the Skullosaurus, Cassandra Nova, King Kong, Immortan Joe, King Andre, Skeletor, or even the fourth little pig, it's that every hero needs his own skull fortress to call home. Because when you're feeling under the gun, there's nothing better than going home and hitting the sack. And if you're having trouble wrapping your head around what I'm saying, just hang in there because I'm dusting off that old idiom joke again. But I think I might be barking up the wrong tree and beating a dead horse with this joke because it seems to be getting a little long in the tooth. So let's stop beating around the bush and bite the bullet and call it a day. Have a good one.